Call the meeting of the Common Council of the City of Emory for Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Sherwood,
Here.
Van Laerma,
Here.
here, okay. Isaacson,
Here.
Clenham,
Here.
Leonard,
Here.
Elkin.
Here. Okay, start off with public comment, and I believe, Woody, do you have some announcement?
I do. Well, good evening, everyone, council and everyone in attendance. My name is Woody McBride. I was your coordinator for the Emory Summer Thursdays concert series. I'm here to announce we had a couple of rainouts this year, and we rescheduled them for an exciting doubleheader starring Chris Cruzy and also one of the area's best blue string myths for a date. It was tough to find a date that worked for Chris, so we didn't want to get too far along in the fall for more inclement weather. So it's going to be Wednesday, September 8th. It's been shared heavily on social media. We've already got about 15,000 views and a lot of confidence in the event. So I'd like to invite everyone to attend. I don't think we need any additional police security or anything, but it's always nice to see a car swing by once during the evening. And then sadly, that'll wrap up this year's season. We had a good year. A lot of people enjoyed it. I hope that you consider supporting again next year. We've been working towards finding more private support for the series. I work as a professional event coordinator and fundraiser, and I've tried my darndest for 2 years to break into the local sponsorship market here. And sadly, I found that most of those funds are committed towards your long-standing traditions like Music on the River, your Fall Fest, and community club events, which is understandable. I'll continue to seek sponsorship, but as you look to build your budget for 2022, without your support, I don't know if Summer Thursdays would happen. And I get a lot of comments, almost some tear-filled feedback from local residents. They really enjoy the regularity and the laid-back nature and the community feel of Summer Thursdays. And if you'd like me to come back this fall to talk, I'd be happy to. Thanks again. Hope to see you on September 8th at 6 o'clock. It'll run a little bit later if it's okay till about 8:30 or 9. Chris is going to give us a full show. So,
Good.
Thanks,
Woody. Hey, any other public comment? Okay, as we move forward here, we've got consent agenda items. We got the minutes from the City Council, August 4th, 2021. Committee of the Whole, August 17th, 2021. Joint Review Board, August 25th, 2021. And Plan Commission, August 25th, 2021.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Number 1, Ordinance 12-2021 parking restrictions. We've talked about this the last couple meetings, and Tom has put this together, correct?
Actually, it was a joint Jeff and Patty.
Okay, Jeff
We
and Patty.
talked about that and pretty much some of the same things that we talked about one of the last meetings there on shortening the distance of limited parking in the downtown area there. So we were able to, at least I was able to review what Patty had, and that's kind of what we talked about. So
Make a motion to approve ordinance 12-2021.
Second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Resolutions 9, 2021, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, 2021, which all pertain to just two items, correct? Basically,
Yeah.
two for
Project
each.
plans, yeah.
Okay. And did you want to explain them real quickly, or
Sure.
I assume that's why you were here?
I had to just get away from moving for a little bit. Anyway, last week, the Joint Review Board met. They approved the annual reports that are submitted each year, and we meet each year on those. They also approved 2 extensions to TID number 6. There was a standard extension of 4 years and a tech college extension of 3 years. Those resolutions were passed by the Joint Review Board. We also had Plan Commission meet, and they passed a resolution recommending approval of each amendment to the TIF district, number 6 and number 7. And just quickly, number 6, we are looking at adding territory to that to get within a half mile of the industrial park, so that we can use TID number 6 to help pay for the industrial park. And also it is carrying the load for the Keller Avenue project. TID number 7 amendment was to utilize excess tax increment from TID number 7, which is the Stour Industrial Park, and funnel that down to TID number 6, which is the rehab and conservation, the downtown TID. So in those project plans, you'll see updated cash flow analysis, and it looks like that everything is in order for TID number 6 to not only pay the Keller Avenue project, but also a majority of the industrial park improvements. And it is the $2 million of industrial park improvements, not just the first phase and second phase. So any questions on those?
Do we need to approve these individually?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though the Joint Review Board and Plan Commission approved theirs, I would
Yep.
still go through. Yep.
I'll start out. Motion to approve resolution number 09-2021.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 10-21.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any- Motion carries. Next.
Just go around the table.
No.
Motion to approve 11/20/21.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve resolution 12-2021.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Motion to approve resolution 13-2021.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 14-2021.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The second meeting of the Joint Review Board is scheduled for September 29th. They have the final say on the amendment. So we'll be meeting on the 29th for that.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Eric Barkley.
which item is on the agenda first? Is it the change order?
Change, yeah.
So change order 3 is in front of you. We've had 2 change orders to date. This one is large. And the reason that it's so large is this is the official change order for the downtown renovations, as well as all the rock that you see going in down by the culvert and the auto parts store down there. The rock was determined that it needed to go in with GeoGrid because of the condition of the soils down there was just absolutely terrible. So the rock in and of itself is quite a bit of money. As you can see on there, the roadway subgrade improvements come to just shy of $128,000 for that stretch there. As an update on that, I have drafted a letter for Patty and Paul to look at and send to DOT if they want to ask for DOT to cost share some of the subgrade improvements, since DOT is technically responsible for the center 24 feet of the roadway. It's not guaranteed that it will happen because DOT can say that the risk to opening up the road is on the city for a project like this. And from what I've heard, even within the department, there's mixed feelings about whether they should cost share or not. So the amount that we're asking DOT to cost share for both this change order and the previous one that covered the stuff on the north end, the subgrade improvements on the north end, and some of the extra sand and stuff that we put in along the way came to just over $84,000. So we're hoping the DOT looks favorably on that once that gets sent to DOT and they run it up the ladder. But if it happens, I've been told by DOT the only way to make that adjustment happen is through asphalt quantities. So basically you have an agreement with the state to cover half of the asphalt on the road. And so the state would pay for a little more asphalt up to whatever that $84,000 is or whatever they approve to cost share. And that would be done through that means. Other items on this change order include, like I said, the revisions to the 100 block, revisions to the 200 block, and there were a couple additional work authorizations from A1. These are for work that basically is unforeseen. Either sometimes there was times they had a scheduled water main shut off, and Jeff had a little trouble getting the valves shut off completely, and they had some downtime. And so, or there's things like there's a water service that was underneath the pavement, like no one knew it was there. And so when they're removing pavement, they rip a water service out and it rips out of the water main and they got to replace the cord. Stuff like that no one can know about. And so you can kind of see through, if you look through those comments, I've gone through them, all of my comments on them are in red, compared those with Drew's notes. We worked with A1 on those comments a little bit. And so they submitted for quite a few, but for some of them, there's just not enough supporting evidence to pay them all or that sort of thing. So MSA has gone through those and made recommendations on what should be covered on change order 3 or what should be or what we're recommending gets rejected on those. So with that, any questions?
Have we requested cost share from the DOT on the north end of the project yet? Has that been requested already?
That's included with
In
the
the
requests that I
Thank
sent
you.
to Paul and Patty. Yep.
So we'll do that later tomorrow if you approve.
Is that something that we have to approve separately? Or will you just do that on behalf of the city?
I guess we could just do that.
Yeah, I
Mayor and I
think
can
so.
just do that.
Yeah.
I think it's a request. I don't think
It's a
that,
request. it's
Sure.
not- Yeah.
Also in there was a request for contract time extension from A1 due to the downtown changes.
I didn't forget to cover that, yeah.
Yeah, can you just
So,
touch on that too, please?
yep. So the substantial completion date originally was September 10th for this project. And if you remember back in June, when we started talking about revisions to the downtown, A1 had given us about a 4 to 5 week delay as what they were expecting. And so September 10th becomes October 15th and a 4 to 5 week delay. And so with that schedule that A1 has attached, I think you got this letter from A1 here too. It kind of explains what they believe the schedule will be from here until the week of October 11th. And so that's why they're requesting October 15th. I think it's appropriate, seeing that it's in that 4 to 5 week delay, and I know they had trouble getting storm structures and they're having trouble getting their concrete contractor back because they're so busy and there was rework involved and those things. I'm hoping things move faster than that, but I'm also not, I'm not completely optimistic that it won't be October 11th, week of October 11th, before they get the second lift of the asphalt done. The hope was, and DOT is talking about this on their end, the first layer of binder is supposed to go down, like the first lower level in through the downtown from the north through, I believe it's through Center Street out here, is supposed to go down the week of September 13th. Unless that gets delayed for weather or some other reasons, but that's where it's at right now. We're hoping that they'd be able to pave on top of that, the other 2 layers, but there is some hang up from Monarch and DOT on how their contract is handled with some different incentives for paving, that they may want to pave the whole thing in one shot, which would mean that it would have to be October by the time they get the south end of the road done. So, but the first layer of asphalt through at least Center Street to Berman should be coming September 13th, week of September 13th, somewhere in there.
Because this, and I'm talking about this transmittal letter from A1, because A1's not involved with the lift station, that's not accounted for in this schedule.
No, they are involved in the lift station.
Okay,
It's-
how does that play into this schedule then?
Yeah, I mean, the lift station is done and up right now. I know there was some waiting and that sort of thing. They couldn't finish their pipe work until the lift station got in. There was some problems with Excel, getting them here on site to get the power to it. I don't think that A1 factored that into their, they didn't officially factor that in any sort of way that I know of. I guess I can't say all the factors that went into them requesting the state though.
Because we're putting a bunch of gravel and stuff into that now, correct? On the lift station to finish that part of it.
Yeah,
So there's work being done on the lift station, whatever it may be.
that's pretty much done at this point.
Okay.
They did pour a top around the lift station somewhat recently. Right now, what they're preparing to do is they're preparing to put gravel around it and get ready to pave around it again.
So that's almost done.
Yeah,
Okay.
the lift
I thought
station
there was
is,
more work to be done on
no,
that.
the lift station is up and operating and
Okay.
going, so.
Everything's running through it.
It's the surface work around it, surface restoration
Okay.
around it.
But basically, the holdup was, when I called you in June, I believe, 15th or 16th, that Excel had not gotten they've gotten payment for the project from Excel, but they hadn't gotten a contract.
Yeah, A1 had paid Excel, but Excel, and I think it was a recent change from my understanding that they needed a signed contract. A1 thought they had them on the schedule because they had already sent in a check to them. I don't know. That was on A1 to coordinate, and I'm not really sure how the ball got dropped there, but somewhere along the way it did.
Because they missed that, and that kind of held things up for actually more than 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's because we were so far ahead. But as we go forward now, how many rain days are built into the schedule? I mean, October 15th, I think that's every day working, isn't it?
Potentially. I mean, this is what A1 believes that they can get, and there is nothing in our contract that says anything about rain days or anything like that.
Correct.
It just, they're requesting a substantial completion of October 15th. It'd be the same as if it kept September 10th. It wouldn't have mattered how many days they decided they couldn't work because of inclement weather. It would just, it is what it is. That's the date that it is. So even if it rains all of October, they're requesting October 15th right now because of this. I'm not saying that they couldn't come back and request another time extension, but I don't think that that is gonna be necessary.
So they're gonna have to, everything's gonna have to fall in a row to get it done and painted.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And when they say October 15th, that's when they lift the detour, correct? Basically,
So, no, so that is a substantial completion for the A1 portion of the project. The DOT portion of the project is the paving, the surface layer and the line painting. So I would expect that that would come the week after that, if or whenever. Basically, as soon as A1's done, I think DOT wants to get in here because they want this opened up. They want their stuff done too.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure on when DOT's contract ended. I believe it was drafted as October 31st for DOTs to be done. So I can't say for sure what day the lift station or the detour would be lifted.
Okay.
But I would suspect that it's somewhere in that mid-October to third week of October
Okay.
range.
Well, I think we need to approve the letter from MSA, or not MSA, from A1. Maybe we have a choice otherwise. The one last question I have is on the change order. On the documents that we're looking at, you have the list of the change order with the subtotals. Do those subtotals take into account the ones that you requested to reject? And because there's other, as we get down into the worksheets, there's some that you say recommend payment, some recommend to reject.
Yeah.
Are those numbers reflected into the change order numbers?
Yep, and so on the back of that quantity sheet that I had, it's probably just in yours, it's the second page of that quantity sheet, there's a smaller one.
It's not on the back of my sheet.
Yeah, it's not on the back of yours, on the back of mine. There's a smaller table there and that lays out additional work authorization
Okay.
numbers 2, 4, 8, 9, and 10, which are the ones that, if you look through those work authorizations are the ones that I have down at the bottom. Payment shall be made as follow, and I have change order 3 on them, but otherwise the ones that I recommended rejecting aren't even listed on this.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think we should do the letter and the change order separate. So I'll make a motion to approve change order 3, $238,620.55 to A1,
The,
or strike A1 to whoever the change order is.
so the change order actually incorporates the price increase and the time extension
Mhm.
all in one.
Yep.
So if you move on the change order,
We have to do the letter too.
Everything's included in that.
I guess unless we drafted a new change order and that would have to go back to the contractor. If one piece of that were to be
Okay.
rejected.
I see.
Then
So it's just the order then that we have to do it, right?
yeah.
So
Okay.
suspend your motion, I guess, until.
Can withdraw it. It's not been
withdraw,
seconded.
yeah.
It hasn't been, that's what we.
Yeah, I withdraw my motion.
And I'll make a motion to accept the transmittal that's dated October 16th from A1 Excavating for the revised timeline.
Second.
But the revised timeline is part of the change
Is part of
order.
the change
Yeah,
order.
I
so
don't-
we
I think
actually-
they're all
I think
one.
all you
It's
need
all
is
one.
just to either accept or deny the change
Okay.
order.
one.
Include, so then I'll add on, including the change order number 3 for the amount of $238,620.55.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay. Yep.
Baby.
I'll probably say it for the end of the meeting. It keeps me up all night.
We also have something about pavement markings.
Yeah, yep, that's next on the agenda here.
And that's all
That's
you
it.
need. Thank you.
So I was talking to DOT
I was talking to DOT regarding the pavement marking plan, and there's been a lot of talk about parking stalls and ease of access for parking stalls and that sort of thing. And DOT just suggested a simple change, and I honestly, looking through DOT's marking plan, I'm not sure why it was ever quite this way. But it's not gonna gain any more stalls, but it may make them easier to access. And that is, there's some different places in the marking plan where the bike lane is 5 feet wide and the parking stalls are 7 feet wide. And so those parking stalls, 7 feet wide, is very narrow for a parking stall. And so by state statutes, on a bike lane or pedestrian lane, you can go down to 4 feet. And so DOT is suggesting moving that line over a foot so that you have 8 foot wide parking stalls and 4 foot wide bike lane. And so this would affect Maple to Highland and Central to Baker. So either end of downtown, through downtown from Baker Street to Maple Street, they're already, the bike lane is 6 feet wide and the parking stalls are 9.5 feet wide. So those are good to go. And then for some reason from Memorial to Baker, it was already at that 4 and 8. And I'm not sure exactly why it was that way, but so I think going to the 4 and 8, one, it gives you easier access to new parking stalls. 2, it makes it the bike lane uniform all the way until it gets to that 6 foot through the downtown, and then it goes back to 4 again, and it's uniform the whole way through then instead of necking down and necking up again.
So the question for you, Eric, is, am I gonna get those 2 parking spaces back in front of my former building?
I don't think so.
So what are you gonna do with a 12 foot or 14 foot wide parking space on the east side of the road and 5 to 7 foot of bike lanes and still keep the lanes the same? Because the road doesn't change until it hits past Broadway. You know what I'm saying? When you stand there and look down the gutter on the curb and gutter on the east side of the road, there's 6-7 foot of difference between that and Keller Avenue south of that intersection.
So in front of your old building, there is no parking spots. The bike lanes, it looks kind of like it does on the north end of town, where the bike lanes are close to the sidewalk and there is no on-street parking in that area. And that starts right at Memorial Drive. So in front of the auto parts store, there's still on-street parking, but to the south, that would be the transition where there is no on-street parking.
But there is on-street parking on the east side.
Not until after Memorial Drive, there's not.
It's the same size as street. Just saying.
The street is actually getting narrower through there. And then
Not till you get to south of Broadway, it doesn't. It changes right at the intersection.
I understand that's how it used to be. But the curb line is moving in probably 5 or 6 feet there by the motel, right at Broadway. And then it tapers out at Memorial.
So is it Broadway, so is the motel getting more parking in their parking lot then?
They are getting more space in their parking lot. Yes, I don't think it's necessarily parking. There's still, was there always a sidewalk that went all the way through there?
Yes.
So that sidewalk is getting moved out into what used to be the road. So yes, they would get more parking lot there. So the corner of their building that used to be pretty close to the road is going to be a little farther off the road now.
The DOT giveth and the DOT taketh away.
Well, it's still all gonna be right away.
Yeah, it's still right away.
Yeah, it'll still all be state right away or city right away, but.
Yeah, but the Brookview doesn't suffer any economic loss by that parking space, by getting more parking, but the the building I don't own anymore does, so. Just so I express my displeasure in the way that that whole thing went down was a joke, but whatever. I don't own it anymore, thankfully, so.
I'll make a motion to accept the revised striping plan.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I,
That's carried. You're welcome. Thank you, Eric. Okay, next on the agenda, number 5, Emory Airport entitlement transfer. The DOT took care of that. We got notified by email. No action is necessary on behalf of Emory. And we'll move to the next, number 6, Tim Christensen, purchase of the Emory Golf Course property. And in the letter there from Patty, I got an email from Tim requesting the purchase of 30 feet of land next to the lot he bought. And this would be on the west side of into the golf course more of the lot he bought. So he can offset his duplex that he's going to build over, because they used all the land on the Davis property next door, and there's 8 feet, I believe, between the garage and Tim's land. So he just wanted some space to put it there. So being on the golf course board, I saw the email go out. He got 100% of there was no opposition to him purchasing a small piece of property from the city. So is that something we would like to do? And if we would like to offer it, take us $5,000 for that piece of property, and he paid the cost there, or should we get it appraised? Or
Well, as much as I love adding more housing to Amory, I think we have to follow the policy that we just approved not
okay,
3 or 4 months ago.
okay,
I agree.
So we have to go through that policy, which is approving. I think it's to approve that we want to sell it, and then go through the evaluation of the property value. And
okay,
Tim and any others can make offers on that land if they want.
Yep.
That's my thought. So should I turn that into a motion, I guess, to follow the, I mean, that shouldn't even have to be a motion. We should just be following our policies that we have developed.
So I think I don't know that we necessarily need to, or what we have to do at this point in time is direct Patty to have a real estate broker go in and determine the cost. And at that point in time, once we know that, we can indicate that it's for sale.
Right.
And have dates, correct?
Yeah,
Right, that's the timeline. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I guess the only other question I would have is do we see any of that other undeveloped property coming up as a possible, something to develop as well? And if that's true, how much does that change if you take a few feet here? It's a good way to put the city's property, I think.
That's a good point.
I don't have any idea how much land is there. Is it worth taking the time to have?
the tee box is right on the other side of the bushes, and then there's a road that they're leaving for the golf course to access in and out there.
Yeah, so it also, I think it would be good to just get that layout so that you know that it's not going to affect future property. But that would be the question that would come up.
So I guess that's our direction.
I-
Make it so.
Yeah.
All right,
Follow the policy.
and Patty can take care of that. Okay, item number 7, a letter to Vince Netherlands, Polk County Administrator, City of Amory, American Rescue Plan funding. Excuse me, funding. The county has $4.2 million in ARPA. ARPF, I thought there was an A in it, funding, that they would like, I don't know if they want, a couple of the, our or county representative would like input from us to the county as far as she would like to see that fund used for infrastructure, housing, infrastructure and different things, that legal uses of that, of those funds. And if we don't come up with a plan, the county could actually take and put that in their unrestricted fund balance, I believe, and spend it any way they want. So she would like a letter stating that. And we have 295,000. We like matching 295,000 to build on our infrastructure, and in that way it benefits the taxpayers of the county. So
It's just a letter, right?
just a letter.
Think we have to do anything?
Motion to send a letter to the county requesting that our funds.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would just add that now's the time to further define exactly what we want to spend that money on. It's almost $600,000 should we get it. But we already have 300,000 ourselves, so we need to know what we're spending it on as well. So
Right,
That's-
and it's kind of a brief letter to start the process.
Yep.
And I think once we get further into it, then we can identify what we want to spend.
Are there any limitations or anything to the money when we received it as to what?
Yeah, there's
I think
items
it
you
can
can
be
use this
used
for,
for.
and I can present that to everyone so they have a copy.
So motion is made and seconded. Discussion has taken place. Any are all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, letter to Vince Netherland, Polk County Administrator, Polk County Recycling Center. Is this letter our wish, I guess, as the city council and the city of Emory? Is this?
I'll make a motion to approve the letter dated September 1st regarding the Polk County Recycling Center and keeping it open.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I,
Okay, motion carries. Okay, number 9, next on the agenda, Emory Public Library moving cost to Emory City Center. So, okay. Go ahead, John.
So I have a couple of quotes, and we actually have a representative from Daymakers here to kind of walk through their quote. So I'm gonna let him do all the talking, but I will hand this out to everybody. We do have the quotes from 2 different vendors.
I can hand out these to you too. We were just asked by Ashley to stop by and kind of talk about a couple of things. This is just a breakdown of the actual proposal with a couple of days and what it would entitle, so. You guys over here taking, you know. It's just- It's kind of boring. Just kidding. So there's a couple things going. Do you want me to stand anywhere, sit in my chair, right up here?
Yep.
Just a couple of things going on with this quote. We always like to work with the customer to try to find the best possible solution to what you have going on. So you'll notice there's 2 different prices. They're significantly different. And it really has to do with this racking that Ashley thinks you guys should buy so that you can bring everything right up. Well, not everything, but a majority of the stuff right up to the main floor. I think we'd be in really support of that. Although obviously we'd make more money if we did it the other way. I think that it'd be best if you guys tried to find a way to get it all up to that main floor first, rather than taking it into the basement. And the reason is, you know, in order to do it cost effective and efficient, we're gonna get those library carts, pretty much wheel everything straight from the old library to the new library. We have to start bringing it into the basement. We deal with a really challenging staircase as well as an elevator that can only probably handle 2 of those carts. So I know that the shelves she was looking at were kind of expensive, but I think it would save you guys a lot of money that you could put towards Rather than having us spend it towards moving, you could spend it on the racking and get it done right
Can you
away.
point me in the, where we're talking about that? Is that in this that you're talking about, that racking?
I have nothing to do with the racking. I was just asked by Ashley to explain why that would be probably the best way to go about it.
Okay, because this is the first I've heard of the racking, so.
So he's referring to the shelving.
Oh, the shelving.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's back.
So if you look like, you can see that there'd be some disassembly and reassembly days that would be taken out of the estimate. That would cause you guys to save a significant amount of money. Any questions for me about just the overall quote or anything with the process?
I guess because I wasn't looking at, I was not understanding what you were saying, because I was trying to find what's the difference between the two?
Okay, so I might be just assuming you guys know what I'm talking about, because Ashley just kind of asked us to come here and explain that process. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but she wants to replace the old shelving from the library with new shelving, because supposedly there's a weight restriction on the Bremer Bank main level. Are you Ashley?
I am,
Yes,
sorry, hard to coordinate, we had 2 different people come to do, so wanted to present you with all the options. So the first option, which is the text of the black and white, is to move the entirety of the library, including the shelves. The second from Daymakers is to include everything except the bookshelves. So again, cost comparisons for city and library board to look at. Do we pay to move the shelves that we're concerned about? I know that you've given us $20,000 to spend towards shelving, but if you're looking at the moving expenses in its entirety, how do we manage this and make sure we're making the best decision? Do we pay to move it and hope that it makes it and that it works? Or do we take into consideration cutting the moving costs and applying the savings in the moving costs towards new shelving? And it's just a discussion. And then the final page is from another moving company that breaks it down in 3 different ones, which includes the Historical Society, because at this point, who is moving the Historical Society has yet to be determined. And because we had companies there, we asked them to do a quote just for the Historical Society. So lots of information, as I think was requested, 2 competitive companies and broken down in 2 different ways, including the shelving and not including the shelving.
Got it.
The other thing to pay attention to is the interruption of operational time. So Daymakers is less than Yurgis. Yurgis is almost 3 weeks of non-operational library service time, and Daymakers has that down to, I think, 10 days. So to give you all the information to make a decision, thank you for coming. Sorry that we didn't get to meet beforehand, but it's the concern again of paying to move the shelving if long-term goal of the library is to get new shelving, and the disassemble and reassembly time and cost and labor.
And from our professional opinion, the shelving that you guys have in the library is technically pretty custom, and it may not even go back the same way it's put together now. So you're kind of risking that it'll work when maybe it might not. So any questions for me?
How many days total are you indicating on yours? It looks like this, I'm trying to count days. It looks like the first one was 6 days. And the second one is 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Is that correct?
That is correct. So although it looks like 10, we would actually be less than a week. You'd be operational in under a week.
Okay.
We're very efficient. We've done as large and a little bit larger projects than the library. And we just pretty much, because you're so far out in December, we can shut the whole company down and just put it right on your job. So.
And have you moved libraries before?
Yes, yep. And some repossessions for the banks, a lot of we've done the bank in Hudson, a couple of those. So it's kind of a similar process where you got to keep all the files in the same deal. Yeah, so it would be start to finish, hands-on. You guys wouldn't have to touch anything.
When you were talking about moving things from upstairs to downstairs, are you talking about at the current location that I was
So
confused about that.
from my understanding, and she may be able to answer better than me, is that the Bremer Bank building has a weight restriction on the main floor. So if you use the shelves you have now, it would put you over the weight restriction. Is that correct?
We'd have to be limited, but it was the concern of the elevator and the existing shelving fitting into the elevator or down the stairs as far as moving was what Drew was concerned about, because there are some pieces.
I think we could take a window out.
You could take a window out, but in order to make this as cost efficient and effective as possible, we just wheel. It's just a lot of wheeling. So if we're gonna be taking time to lift things through a window, it's especially.
Oh, no, have you seen there with the area we're talking about? It's, there's a step down there. You could have used, put a ramp in there and
Oh, nice.
run right down through there.
Yeah.
It would make it very, very simple, I think, but we'd have to look at it a little deeper. But
I've never been involved in anything like that, but if that's what you guys want to do, we definitely can make it happen.
they took all the glass out and while they're working on it, so I'm putting it back in. So I think one big piece of glass could come out. Anyway, it's something to look at.
And then it's if you were to go with bringing it in the basement and say the glass didn't work, you're just going to be wasting a lot of money when we bring it back upstairs. So it's really on your guys's. From your guys' perspective, makes a lot of sense to try to just get it done all at one shot. And I think the new shelving you were looking at caused it to be under that weight restriction. Is that correct?
Well, there has to be shelving downstairs on the lower level, but if we purchase new shelving, we pay for install included in the cost of the shelving. So that's again, looking at all the information and making sure we make a good decision. That's part of it.
And once you know about the window and all that stuff, we can always come back and work with you.
So if let's see, it's September, October, by October 1st, the first week in October, you can still get that in your schedule.
Yeah, if you actually have to, probably the second week of October, and we can shut that whole week down.
We got a committee of the whole meeting coming up, and then we got a city council meeting coming up, so.
I had two questions. One of them is if stuff has to go to the basement, why would you have to move it upstairs? Which part?
So I think they're referring to if the shelving doesn't fit and they've moved the shelving downstairs already.
Yep.
And it doesn't fit, then they have to move it back out of the basement.
Well, one piece would find that out.
Okay, then also the part that doesn't fit, there's disassembly and preparation of bookcases for transport. I would think they'd fit wherever you're going.
Yeah, they're disassembled.
Well, it's the height piece that. Again, we're still
Okay, yeah, it says
concerned
disassembly, but I guess.
Well, and just trust me, we didn't, whatever route you guys go with, we're gonna get it done, but we're just trying to help you guys get it done the best way possible. So,
Yep, I'm just trying to.
and my main
Good
concern,
questions
and I
answered.
think the concern of the guy who was out there, Andrew, is that once we take those apart, they may not go back together the way they were. They're almost custom made right for that, whenever they put it in, however they put it in at the other building.
Jeff, you might have to bring a couple guys down there and practice.
Well, we're gonna know far before we move whether they're gonna fit or not. I mean, that's part of the whole process, is that once the basement's done, you take a shelf and you see if it's gonna fit. And make a decision then, right?
The issue then is if they don't fit, there's no shelving until we buy new shelving,
Mhm.
and there's a 2-month lead time. So
Okay.
again, if
Main
there's.
Street is closed.
There was sheet rock in the basement a week or two, it sounded like. But it's just the ceiling height, we just have to make sure.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's sheet rock in the basement. In a week or two.
So you'll have an idea.
So they're gonna have the ceiling grid.
Yep.
Got everything getting ready. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's news to me. So, okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
No action at this time. We'll wait a little bit longer. We don't have to make a decision right now.
Correct. We got a little homework to do.
Did you say you have somebody else coming? that's gonna talk?
You're-
about?
The final page. is-
Yes, but nobody's coming to talk.
We were, only- no, we offered that it's a long, long drive.
Oh, yes, I see where they're from. Never mind. And as far as your communication with them, as far as, you know, have they done this before?
Absolutely.
As far as qualifications, I mean, I'm sure, John, you've worked with them before. I mean, there's a significant price difference between them. That's why I'm asking.
One of their components is library movement.
There is, but it's also 3 weeks of non-operational time. So it's, that's, paying for moving costs, but lots of operational costs. So we have to compare and look and see what, yeah, what works better.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Motion to, oh, wait, you had to, never mind. Do I have to motion? We just talk about it. I went back to school this week, so I'm a little. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right.
I was trying to move this on.
Okay, now we're gonna go into closed session. We're gonna come out and we have a decision to make when we're done, I believe. So Larry will be coming back.
Yes, please.
Okay, so
Motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
roll call.
Sia. Bush.
Yes.
Van Blaricon.
Yes.
Yes.
Plana.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Elmore.
Yes.